Hello and welcome everybody to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on all our social networks and to catch us every day by logging on to our website, www.mexiconewsnetwork.com, for relevant stories and news. Let's start with today's show. Italy's largest airline, Alitalia, has announced that it's to commence its new direct flight between Rome and Mexico City as part of its plan to expand revenue via long international flights. In May, the President of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, announced during his message to media during the first state visit of the President of the Italian Council of Ministers, Matteo Renzi, that there were plans of opening a direct flight between the two cities starting on June the 16th. The launch of the new service is the result of great teamwork between Mexican and Italian authorities. The 3 times weekly service will operate on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, and the aircraft used for these direct flights will be a Boeing 777, which has a capacity for 293 passengers and is expected to fly around 1,600 passengers per week. The new Boeing 777s have fully refurbished cabin interiors and connectivity for mobile phone calls, internet and emails. The introduction of this flight is viewed as essential by both countries to promote bilateral investment, and the Mexican market is particularly important for the Italian airline because approximately 180,000 Mexicans visited Italy last year, while 130,000 Italians entered Mexico. Bilateral trade between Mexico and Italy reached over 6 billion euros in 2015. Alitalia recently increased its offer in the LATAM region in May when it opened the direct route to Santiago de Chile, and currently it has a presence in 4 other Latin American destinations: Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and now Mexico City. The oil producer Renaissance announced the company has received payment for its first sale of crude oil, condensate and natural gas to the Mexican state oil company Pemex. It reported its production for May at 700,000 barrels per day in 3 Mexican fields, which positioned it as the premier foreign oil producer in Mexico and the second largest oil producer in the country after Pemex. Each barrel that Renaissance Oil produced received an average sale price of $39.59 per barrel and $2.77 per 1,000 cubic feet for natural gas. The Mexican fields where the production takes place are Mundo Nuevo, Topen and Malva, located in the state of Chiapas. They became the property of Renaissance Oil on May the 26th. They previously belonged to Pemex, which benefited the new owner since they were already in production. Currently, the Canadian company is in a 90-day transition period whereby Pemex is transferring operations of the properties to the company. During this period, the company has been receiving detailed production reports, including daily estimates of production and crude oil and natural gas compositions. According to Craig Steinke, Director General of the company, after this transition period, they will focus on optimizing field efficiencies and increasing production and cash flow. In other news, Gilberto Lopez, President of the Alliance for Strategic Projects, said that currently they're managing to build 30 gas stations of bioethanol fuel in Mexico City, 5 more in Guadalajara and 5 in Monterrey. Vehicles using regular gasoline are largely to blame for the high levels of pollution that currently exist in the world, which is why several companies are betting on ethanol fuel as a cleaner alternative. Lopez created with a group of partners Ethanol, the first franchise in Mexico that sells this kind of fuel in Veracruz, based on the model that is currently operating in Brazil. And they're now looking to expand to some of the major cities in Mexico. Currently in Spain and the United States, mixed ethanol is already on sale. Shell and Consal have 4,500 service stations of fuel ethanol in Brazil and more than 2,800 stores that sell this type of fuel in the United States. In the service station that exists in Veracruz, between 4,000 and 5,000 liters of ethanol are sold each month at around 11 pesos a liter. For a vehicle that consumes about 40 liters per day, the saving would be between 2,500 to 3,000 pesos a month. Lopez asserts that mixing 10% of ethanol with 90% of regular gasoline is completely viable for any make or model of car without having to modify the engine. Most new cars nowadays are manufactured with the flex fuel system, which is adaptable to any fuel type. According to Gilberto Lopez, if 30 stations are installed in Mexico City, more than 600,000 liters of ethanol per month will be marketed, and also between 20% and 25% of the pollution will be brought down. BMW will expand production of its next generation 3 Series sedan at a new $1 billion plant located an hour away north of Mexico City from 2019. Sales ranged from 95,000 units in 2015, so naturally Mexico is a sound choice for the brand's expansion, though the German automaker will continue to build the 3 Series, thus increasing its annual capacity to 150,000 units. Once the Mexican plant is up and running, BMW's South American plant will switch from 3 Series to X3 crossover production. With far more international free trade agreements, low labor costs and favorable state and local taxes, as well as export duties, all global automakers have been enticed to set up plants in Mexico. At this rate, Mexico will become North America's car capital. The country is home to many other plants operated by classic automakers like General Motors, GM, plus 0.07%, Volkswagen, Ford, Nissan, Daimler, Toyota, Honda, Kia, Mazda, and Fiat Chrysler. In recent years, Mexico has begun attracting the attention of companies seeking to build more high-end vehicles, a nod to the country's improving workforce, which 20 years ago might not have been considered reliable or experienced enough to put together a BMW X5 or an Infiniti Q. Since 2011, Mexico has attracted nearly $10 billion in foreign direct investment from the automotive sector, according to the Center for Automotive Research in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Economic development officials say Mexico could manufacture more than 5 million cars in 2020, far beating its 3.4 million from previous years. It holds the title as the world's 4th largest automotive exporter. Ed Kim, Vice President of Industry Analysis at automotive research firm Auto Pacific, is confident about the growing sales rate of the 3 Series, which outsells other small sedans, including the Mercedes-Benz C-Class and Lexus ES. Its styling and performance set a benchmark and keeps clients loyal to the brand. And lastly, in economics, the Mexican peso decreased 1.09% to 18.9 from 19.11 in the previous trading session. The peso gained 20.79% during the last 12 months from 15.65 in June of 2015. Mexico's IPC index decreased 1.35% to 44,282 from 44,886 in the previous trading session. Mexico IPC index lost 0.96% during the last 12 months from 44,710.35 points in June of 2015. That was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman, and remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.